Wow, this is a banana? I don't know.
Banana, because it's encased in its own thing.
Oh, true. Sure, let's go with that.
You know it's watermelon. It's just tough to cut.
Liz, is tomato a fruit?
Technically.
All right, I'm making you a tomato salad later for dessert.
Cool.
All right. Let's hear what's doing. All right. Did a straight person write that? Probably, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
It's honestly offensive.
A straight, very white person wrote it.
Thank you.
Oh, true. Sure, let's go with that.
Tomato or fruit? Making you a tomato salad later for dessert.
Cool.
All right, folks, that's it. Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Today's guest, first off, she was featured in New Yorker Magazine, Comedy Central, Hulu, NPR. Her album is Mind Over Mealy. It's available everywhere you get albums. Liz Mealy.
Howdy.
How you doing, Liz?
I'm lovely. Thanks for asking.
I found this out after the fact.
Yeah.
Dating Kyle. That you and Kyle are like best friends.
Yeah, she's my heart.
And I want to tell you that it was a nice surprise. Knowing that, knowing somebody has friends that are good people, you and Carmen Lynch, it's exciting news.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know each other that well that you can say I'm a good person, but that's nice of you to say.
But Carmen said you're a good person.
Yeah,
I know
no, that's
Carmen.
true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You got some good sources.
Also joining us, he's appeared on the Game Show Network, Oxygen, the National Geographic Network, Calvin Cato.
Hello, how are you?
Good, Calvin. How are you, Calvin?
I'm doing great, and I'm sitting next to the best person ever, Liz Mealy.
Right?
Thank you. Okay, now it's all valid.
Now, you and my girlfriend Kyle are not friends, Calvin. That's interesting to note.
Oh, sadly, no. I don't know why we're not.
Liz, I know, was talking to Kyle's daughter on the phone for some time. And do I have this correctly, that Kyle's daughter, a young teenager, believed you were both the same age?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean,
It doesn't help that right now you're literally in pigtails.
I know. I mean, that's like my that's like how I save my puffy hair. This is my next day hair. My favorite story about Kyle's daughter is she did a sketch with us. Me and Carmen were doing Apartment C3. She did a sketch with us. She believed that we were best friends. And she went through Kyle's – this is maybe a couple months later. She went through Kyle's phone and found Carmen's number, called Carmen to ask for my number while Kyle was in the shower.
What, as if Carmen's your mom and it's like,
something like that.
Can we get together?
She at least knew. She thought she was my mom, and at the very least knew that she was somehow my keeper.
No.
But
she wasn't wrong.
No, she wasn't at all. That's the best way to get in contact with me is through Carmen Lynch. So the word is out.
Now, obviously, Kyle knew after the fact that she went through her phone. She knows the story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then why does Kyle think that we can just text whatever we want all the time. We text like adults. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm sure she's gotten better over
Her
the
daughter
years.
knew my name, and Kyle didn't tell her, and I'm putting things together right
You know
now.
what? Good. Serves them right. If I had kids,
She goes through her kids' phones. I think
that's
I think
different. They're not. If they're sexting, she might. That she's.
I
she'd
didn't
have
even
a-
think about it as sexting. I just thought about it as like, all right, if you're gonna leave your phone out, shit's gonna get done. Like
I'm just
emojis are
saying-
gonna be sent.
I'm just saying, if my teenage kids were to look through the thread of me and my new boyfriend, and they find like his dick, that's on you. Like you fucked up. Why
I
are
just don't
you
under-
looking for
I don't
that?
understand why it's not locked. I know my little sister did this to me. She went through my phone and put her own thumbnails in it, her thumbprints in it, so that she could get in it faster. She's like, for directions. I was like, bitch, just
No.
ask. I was like, not only did you go and do that, but you made it speedier for yourself. I was so mad at her.
That is not comfortable.
Yeah, no.
No one should have their thumbprint on my phone. I don't care if I'm married to you.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah,
not
no.
okay. I mean, I love her, but no.
I'm reading an article about, speaking of kids, a 10-year-old, a British girl, went to war with Kellogg's because she found its Cocoa Pop slogan sexist. Hannah Clayton objected to the line, loved by kids, approved by mums, pointing out her father makes her breakfast.
Oh.
That's so funny because I disagree with everybody's moan in this room. Kellogg's promised to make the change. This daughter has the problem with Kellogg's. Have a problem with your dad, 10-year-old, that you think your dad
Made
makes
you.
Yeah. It
He's,
takes-
like, he's going, no, it's good I'm not approving this. It's a piece of shit,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
food. What are you going to say?
I like the idea of like, oh, I made this milk that I'm going to pour into a bowl for you.
right.
I didn't even take that into consideration. Like you made her breakfast.
I hope
Yeah.
he begged her not to turn him in. This is wrong, Dad. It's fine, please. Don't call the paper.
And it's a British kid? It's,
Yeah.
Which is funny because like I was just in London and they have an American section in their grocery
Oh
stores.
no, don't say the sad things that are on
Yeah,
there.
no, it's always Pop Tarts,
Oh man.
Reese's Puff cereal. Yeah, it's like it's like basically all junk food. It's just nerds. It's just nerds.
It's
Like-
Pop Tarts, nerd candy, and guns.
Yeah. The American section.
Welcome, America.
Yeah,
It is what they make fun of. I mean, they've been doing that for years, but it is the thing they make. Like Trump, clearly, but like even before Trump, it was just like we were all just like pow 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 pow.
Right. It's the international section.
Yeah.
Let me.
It is funny. Our international section always has beans, but our bean section, like the other section has beans also, but the beans in the international section are written in Spanish.
Yeah, that's how you know they're different.
It's like garbanzo.
Habichuelas. And you're like, really? Is this necessary?
No, you got to stay healthy, and that leads me to this, Liz. You're still running, right? You were mentioning Runner's World.
I was.
Yeah.
Dream
Yeah.
come true, right?
It actually was.
Yeah.
It's been. I was like one of like 3 comics that was in it, and now there's like 2 other comics that have been in it, and I was like, but that was like my only thing I was excited about. So I feel like it's gotten taken away. I'm actually.
Yes, always compare yourself so you could feel good.
But that was, but this was the thing is that like it was one of these weird goals that only I had because I think you like I'm sure you can relate to this where like you don't care about something and then somebody else gets it and you're like I've always wanted to be in Golf Digest.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a goal until somebody else got it. But with Runner's World, it was always like it was a magazine me and my dad always read, and I mean I ever since I've been running, I've been reading the articles and ignoring what they say. Like it just was important to me. So then when they liked me and then I did a corporate gig with them and they put me in the magazine, it just felt like, oh, this is like a little special thing that only me and like 2 other healthy comics could ever do.
How great. Tell the audience, how great is this runner's high? And then tell the audience if you ever did drugs. That's very important.
These are all very valid points. You can't control your runner's high. It happens very infrequently.
You don't take a runner's high like milligram like today.
Yeah. But it is kind of funny. Like there'll be times where I'm like, this is gonna be a rough run, and it'll be really great, and I'll be like, oh, this felt amazing, and there'll be times where I'm just like, most times where it just feels like somebody's sitting on top of me and I'm trying to run. Like it's just you can't. Rather than like with drugs. You know what I mean? Unless you have something that like bad. I mean, now I have panic attacks on them, so they're all bad. But like when they were fun, you knew it's like Starbucks. You know what you're going to get each time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
always the same. It doesn't matter if you're in California or if you're in Tennessee. It's the same coffee.
I never got a runner's high, but I got a jogger's high because that's how slow I run. I basically like skip faster than I walk, and I'm just like, this is fast. This is moving. I'm picking up a heart rate. And I did once I was like, this must be runner's high. And what I thought of was...
If you don't know,
Right. I'm just
it's like a good pee. This must be a standing up orgasm. Oh, no, you're a child.
right. Like if I have a really tough poop, I'm like, this must be what child labor is like.
I feel that way a lot, to be honest,
Yes.
with rough poops.
I'm sure anyone who had a baby is like, yeah, that's
it's just like
exactly
that.
it. Yeah. That's what they keep talking about. But so what I noticed is the runner's high is when I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I was running for a minute. It's like the best time of running is when you forget that you're doing the actual thing. And that's when running is fun.
I would agree
Oh,
with
I
that.
forgot. That's terrible, Liz.
No, it just allows you. I mean, it's the only time I feel like I can't seem to keep with like standard meditation, but there's something about like kind of getting lost and like feeling okay about myself in the world while running that I'm like, I think this might be what meditation is, where I'm just like, I'm both present and not present at the same time.
I've never forgotten when I was running. Would you find yourself chasing the dragon and you get stuck at a traffic light? That's got to be the worst, right?
Every time.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
gonna be tough. All right, what's wrong with pedestrians? It's like they don't know. Hey, by the way, let's say I'm supporting. Don't focus on that. Let's say I see you running, and I'm proud of you,
Yeah.
and you're a stranger. Do I give you a thumbs up, or I just leave you alone, right? I don't encourage you.
There's something about being a woman running at any time of day
Right.
that if anybody says anything to me, I just run faster.
I'll just remind you to smile and move on, right?
yeah, exactly.
Actually, you shouldn't tell women to
give me,
smile.
Yeah, give me some technical advice so
Yeah.
I can just judge you. I've never been a good runner. I mean, I took a couple of years off from doing marathons, and I'm actually doing the New York City Marathon in November.
What a bad runner. God.
But I am relying heavily on muscle memory, and I've done so much like reading on muscle memory, hoping that it's like this magical thing, and it's like 3 months, and I was like, what about 4 years? Like, when does this kick in? But I've never been good at it. I've just enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is like Slash in Guitar World. Now, Clapton, that's a guy to look at.
Right.
Well, here's what I'm about. Maxa Climber. I do the running, but I do it in my own house. It's a vertical climber. I get a full body workout. I don't mean to say this in front of Liz, but you run and you didn't even work out the rest of yourself. I get cardio and muscle toning in one machine. I burn twice the calories and a car's not going to hit me.
I have one too, and I put it together myself.
What?
It took me, and I cannot even believe this, less than 15 minutes.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
It's sturdy. It works. It's phenomenal.
And it easily folds up, right? Let's say you have a New York City apartment. You can easily put it to the side. It's not a big deal. Maxa Climber is offering a unique offer to you. Go to maxaclimber.com, enter code KATG at checkout, and get 15% off your Maxa Climber plus bonus accessories worth over $50. There's no trick. I'll tell you what they are. A waist trainer, fitness mat, workout armband. Don't forget, enter code KATG at checkout. Get 15% off and great bonus items. maxaclimber.com, code KATG at checkout.
I tell you why you want to do it now. It's because, we're getting close to the end of the year. You'll already be in the habit of working out. So the New Year's resolution will be, to me, better. When you start now putting yourself in that mind frame of, I'm already going to be healthier. I'm already going to do this morning routine or this like 3 times a week. By the time those big holidays come around, you're not going to feel the way you did before. So get it now.
Right. You're going to be running outside, what? With rocks and people? Get a soft tissue injury? Those are a big deal. It's called soft. Maybe people would take care of football players if they quit calling it soft tissue injury. It's a major, major injury. These are hard tissue injuries.
Should you be selling anything that has to do with working out?
Let me tell you something. I follow what's going on out there when it comes to working out. I follow what's going on when
You're
it
still in the
comes
research
to
phase.
sports. Right. I follow what's. Let me tell you something.
I'm ready.
I'm wearing Nike shoes right now.
Well, I felt it. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
something's changed.
Yeah.
I felt more supported. So it's nice.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden you could kneel.
Yeah.
Right. Calvin, as a black gentleman, do you
Wait, fuck, Calvin's black.
do you look
I know.
at,
Spoiler alert. Sorry.
okay, let's get serious, people. Do you look at people's shoes when you come across them to judge them?
You know, I don't look at people's shoes.
Wait, I thought you were gay.
I look at people's shirts. I make sure that their buttons are right. I mean, I'm happy though. I mean, I'm certainly pro Nike. Although this is such a very weird tangent, but so I've actually been very, very more serious about like being more active and more like I don't like supporting like things where I'm like, oh, I know people are racist. And so I've been more active about like trying to support porn where like the porn performers are not racist. And apparently there's a bunch of racist performers out there.
Most of them must be because there's a lot of like, here's the norm. And then it's like, do you like black people? And it's like, that's your whole fetish is black people. Like I remember reading an erotic book and it was sectioned off based on fantasies. So you can go like, you know, these rape fantasies was one of them. But these are women like in the 50s who, you know, normally wouldn't speak about it. There was an entire chapter on sleeping with black people. And I'm like, but this is just regular sex, but one partner's black. Like this is not kinky, nor is it fantasy. Like it's just vanilla sex with some color. It was so fucked up. I just skipped the chapter. I was like, this is gonna make me feel so weird.
Yeah. It's crazy though, because a lot of it is like that where it's like, no, this is just
when it
normal
trumps
sex.
rape fantasy, when I'm like, yeah, I'll get through it.
Yeah.
The
No,
rape,
I could see this. I could see
yeah,
this.
the rape fantasy, sure, right into it. But black fantasy, I'm like, ugh, you never met a black person and now you're just picturing weird shit.
I know, it's weird. It's like, it's all the same. And like, there's this website that just came out called Noir Male, and it's supposed to be all about like, oh, we're celebrating like performers of color, but it's literally the same like shitty Mandingo tropes of like, here's a black man with a big dick, and it's like tiny little white twink, and it's like awful, and I don't understand people supporting it, and so I've been actively trying to be like, look, you cannot watch this porn. I mean, not that I'm like putting up reviews or comments or anything like that.
You're just looking at people's histories.
Yeah.
Like, listen, this is okay and this is not okay. And by the way, go incognito with some of this shit.
Oh yeah, totally don't. Autocorrect is telling too much of my business, so I'm definitely like incognito.
So what have you been finding? Is there porn left?
Not really. It's crazy hard. It's so difficult. Although
He's
I will.
like, and now I make my own.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is why I'm here. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm actually going to shout out my Tumblr page if you just want to go.
Like, yes, I have a big dick, but it's not relevant.
Yeah. .tumblr.com. That's
Yeah, a lot of if not all, right? The cuckolding porn. It's always the white little baby, and it's the black guy putting the white guy in his place, and the white guy you assume watches it.
Yeah.
And is like, yeah, this animal is fucking my wife, and I'm a piece of shit, right?
Yeah, that's what a lot of it is, and it's always so crazy because it's like why do you have to get off that way? Like, why do you have to be like, oh, I need to feel so powerless? I guess because I fucked over every other minority and race and whatever. But it's like just weird. I don't get it. Like, I don't know, just like a harness like normal people or something. I don't know.
How about support a community and jerk off to that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's disgusting out there. So, of course, Nike makes Colin Kaepernick the spokesperson with a close-up black and white picture of his face. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. And then you start seeing on social media the people burning their shoes, the people. You know what I was told today? That the people that aren't burning or cutting up their Nike socks are cutting out the swoosh in their socks to not support Nike. So now they're walking around with a sunburned Nike symbol on their ankles. they're even more supporting.
But don't you find this interesting that like Pepsi had like they tried to do something that was like woke and it just like blew up in their face. And I know they both like they did a good job and they did a very uninformed job, but I just find it like people at Nike, like to me that feels like a big Nike risk where they're just like, hey, we're gonna do something woke, and they're like, remember the last time somebody tried to do something like
what's interesting is there's one company is actually awake to something, and the other company was trying to use other people's awakeness, other people's reviving. So it's like
And they were trying to make it like all Disney and Pixie and like we're just protesting and having a good time in bubbles, guys.
Yeah, it was bullshit. And it's like, to me, Nike shouldn't say, remember what happened to those other people. They're saying, hey, why don't we do actual shit? Like, even if this is just a PR move, obviously it's risky to Nike, just like it was to, how do you say his name? Kaepernick. Yeah, which is so weird because what you're saying is not I hate America, but that's what people are hearing, and they're blowing up their own shit. And this is so American. Yeah. It's like, it's like burgers. It's like that is what symbolizes us, and nothing in it is healthy. But just a bun and cheese and some oh my God.
But it's like,
I mean, America's so self-destructive though. It's like before when like with Keurig, when Keurig like came out, like, you know, anti-Trump, and then people were smashing their own Keurig machines, and you're like, you spent like $200, and you feel okay with that? Like just breaking your own shit.
I mean, logically it makes no sense, but also people misinterpreting kneeling makes no sense. So it's like there's a part of you that's just like, it feels slightly hopeless that you're not going to get through to so many people. Like I was in an Uber when I was in New Mexico this weekend, and the driver was saying that his daughter voted for Trump. And so then me and my friend.
What a great way to have a conversation. You're stuck in his back seat.
Well, he brought it up, and he clearly didn't vote for Trump. But he goes and he we were asking him, we were like, well, you know, 2 years later, does she still feel the same way? He goes, yeah, he just like said he speaks his mind and blah, blah. And you're just like, there's no, like everybody's waiting for everybody to turn over, but they're not. Like there's no changing. I just feel like there's like all the liberal sites will have somebody that'll be like, I voted for Trump and I regret it. And everybody's like, it's going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You're right. It's not going to happen. And I'll tell you why. If it didn't happen before you voted for him, when he was pussy grabbing, saying that Mexicans are bringing their rapists, telling people to punch each other in the face and that they'll pay the legal fees, if you still voted for him, what is going to change your mind? You looked further into shit?
Yeah.
Oh, suddenly you're aware of topics and how you voted? No.
Well, you're not wrong, of course, when you mentioned about the Keurig ban. And is Keurig pro or anti-Trump? If you have to pick, of course, anti. But that came from Sean Hannity was supporting that kid fucker Senate candidate, Roy Moore.
Oh.
And they said, well, we're not going to support Sean Hannity's show anymore. So Sean Hannity said, let's ban them. And these smart people broke their coffee machines. But at least Keurig supported Sean Hannity at some point. What did Mr. Coffee ever do? You know, take your Folgers and dump it down the fucking drain. You're not even thinking big picture. No, Donald Trump taking the time, and of course I'm not done with Nike, but Donald Trump taking the time after, if you remember, 5 journalists gunned down the Capitol Gazette, right by Washington, D.C., by the way, right in Maryland. I cannot state strongly enough how totally dishonest much of the media is. Truth doesn't matter to them. They only have their hatred and agenda. This includes fake books, which come out about me all the time, always anonymous sources, and are pure fiction. Enemy of the people. Even Sarah Huckabee Sanders won't say that journalism is the enemy of the people.
This is like that cab driver's daughter. Oh, he says it like it is. All of those things are dangerous. It's everything in that is dangerous. It feels dangerous. It feels just you didn't say anything, but you had people turn on information. Just in general. By the way, media sources, you can't trust them. What does that mean? To me, it means only trust me. I'm speaking your language, the language, honestly, of dum-dums. Because when you say shit like he just says shit, it's like, oh, he dumbed it the fuck down so you understand his words. That's all you're saying. Yeah. Not that he's saying the truth. I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, I don't want to be challenged. I don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't want to have to work. I don't want to have to do research. I want it to be plain out there. And if it comes with the exception of real facts, then it's okay.
What fact? What fact? There's not even, he always sounds like he's saying facts to, no offense, but dum-dums, but there's no facts in there.
Yeah.
There's not one fact, because if you had a fact, you would lead us somewhere to like, hey, this is my proof. I'm the fucking president, and I just say shit, and then people go, yeah, he just says shit. That's what I love most about him.
Yeah,
fascinating. Live your life.
So I mean, I'm always fascinated by like the Twitter debate, which is like you know, he's breaking all their terms of services, yet they still let him tweet. But like, is it what he tweets? Can that be held against? Like, is that valid enough of a platform that it can be held? Like, you know how like they've found people on Facebook because like they murdered somebody and they were able to track them because of posts and stuff like that. Is there anything with Twitter that they're going to be able to use? Because like he's chronicling.
He said through his voice, not even through Twitter, into a microphone while several people were recording him. It was very obvious. It wasn't like a gotcha thing. He said, I could stand in the middle of Times Square and shoot someone openly down the street and still get away with it and still be president. And then he was right. And I don't understand how that's a thing that a president can just openly say.
I mean, that's what corrupt governments say. I mean, you know what I mean? You go to any country, well, you go to they do it. I mean, you go to any corrupt, that's why he likes all the corrupt governments that have dictators, because that's fun for him.
Well, when John McCain is at the funeral, I'm seeing the flag at the White House go up and down, like he's a kid touching a button. Like, don't leave it down. I want it up. I don't like him. Without exaggeration, the Vietnamese jailer that held John McCain in captivity for 5 years said better things about John McCain at his funeral than the president did of the United States of America. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
It's astonishing. I still find it astonishing how petty he is and how so many people, I guess, don't care about his pettiness. Because even if you like the fact that like he tells it like it is, the fact that he goes on to these like stupid, such minor grudges, you would think that would make people go, that's a weirdly obsessive man.
Yeah.
No, but there's so, I mean, I have a lot of smart people that are petty. I mean, petty is actually a pretty relatable, like, emotion, to be perfectly honest. Like, I think that's one
true.
of
Otherwise, brunch wouldn't exist.
But it is. It's like out of everything he does, his pettiness is actually what's relatable. It's
God, you're right. I hate. Whoa, fuck.
Truthfully,
Yeah.
But it's you know, it's such a like. From Obama to him, you're just like, how is it like somebody that's like such an adult to somebody that's such a like I don't even think a therapist could help him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think 30 years of therapy where he went every day could get him to a place where he was functional.
Well, I want to go back real quick because I don't want to skip over this. The colonel in Vietnam says, at the time, I liked John McCain personally for his toughness and strong stance. He's beating the shit out of this guy, right? It's years later. Later on, when he became a U.S. Senator, he and Senator John Kerry greatly contributed to promote Vietnam-U.S. relations, so I was very fond of him. I'll tell you what, you put me in a tiger cage for... and I know how we feel about cages now, right? They're like Club Med is what I understand. These fun kids at summer camp. But me, I don't think I'd be doing relations so fast with your country, but okay. When I learned about his death early this morning, I feel very sad. I would like to send condolences to his family. I think it's the same feeling for all Vietnamese people, as he has greatly contributed to the development of Vietnam-U.S. relations. I mean, how mature this McCain was, quite frankly. You know, I am surprised we even allow there to be a country called Germany. And of all languages, they speak German still. That's amazing to me, that you can be that mature. And then the guy that's your captor goes... Yeah, you know, some time went by and we worked on the relations and the war's over and here we are somehow. And Trump says, no, we shouldn't lower the flag for a day.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Talk about petty, though, too. Like, you don't even want to lower the flag. What does that even do to you?
It's a symbol.
It shouldn't even be part of your, like, it should be in your periphery somewhere. If anything, aren't you busy?
That's what I mean.
But he isn't busy. That's what's crazy about it when they tell you, like, how much TV he's watching and, like, you know what, I mean, the not reading he's doing. Like, I just feel like he has enough time for this, like, his extracurricular tweeting and ruining people's lives.
Nike ad campaign with Colin Kaepernick has lured a rush of new followers to Nike's Instagram account since the first ad dropped on Labor Day, a gain of more than 170,000.
They also, their, whatchamacallit went up like 30%,
Their
right?
stock went up 31% from September 2nd, the day it launched the ad, to September 4th. That compares to a 17% gain in 2017.
Not to put them down or anything, but they've had to do some kind of research to be like, most of the people that jump and run are liberals. I don't know. Like, they couldn't have just blindly been like, we're going to support it because we're good people. Money is involved. So they had to do some kind of research to be like, especially with Facebook and all this stuff. I mean, they have enough intel to know that they have a certain type of customer, and then they just went more down that road with their customer.
But then why would Pepsi? I don't know. I think this more has to do with, are you really looking at something all the way through without just numbers? Like, this is on the side of, well, maybe because it's on my side, it feels like the side of truth, right? It's like,
I agree with it. I have no problem with it, and I think it's amazing. But I'm not going to go out and buy Nikes just because they did this ad, because at the end of the day, it's a corporation and it's about money.
Whatever. At the end of the day, you are buying Nike because of these ads, because they just keep themselves on your mind. It doesn't matter if it's Kaepernick or something else. There's a reason why we know Nike and maybe not other people. They spend a lot of money on their promotions. Why do we know Pepsi and Coke? You know, it's all promotional. Why do we
I
know
remember
about the
Pepsi
movies?
got that big jump when they were anti-Martin Luther King. What are we talking about? There's a Louisiana mayor. Now, don't you look like what people think about your state? But anyway, a Louisiana mayor was so outraged by this Nike ad that he's tried to ban all the company's products from its recreational department. Effective immediately, all purchases made by any booster club operating in any Kenner recreation facility, the town, for wearing apparel, shoes, athletic equipment, and or any athletic product must be approved by the Director of Parks and Recreation and his designee. Under no circumstances will any Nike product or any product with a Nike logo be purchased for use or delivery at any of the city of Kenner recreation facilities.
But tell me why. You don't like people expressing themselves? You don't.
I like the country!
Tell me why you think he was kneeling. He just wants a new Star-Spangled Banner? Like, what? He just doesn't like his singing voice? Why do you think he knelt? Why do you think a person who could lose his endorsements, his place in his life, and his all-around likability, which is what his entire career basically is dependent on, you know, especially to last him for the rest of his life, because he'll get that injury and then be out. Why would he kneel? What are you protesting? His protest? What does that even mean? If you can explain it to me, I'll burn down the Nike fucking superstore, wherever the fuck that is.
They can't though. They can't. Nobody's
What's
thinking
the
that
expression
way.
here? You can't wear Nike, but explain because of why. Why?
Don't
what?
try to trick me. I love this country. And you're trying to trick me. I don't know what's so clear about that or unclear about that. Well, if you wonder where the kneel came from, if you recall, Kaepernick sat during the national anthem before the kneel, and he talked with an Army Special Forces veteran who said the right way to protest probably would be to kneel. We kneel when servicemen die, different excursions we go on. We do this, we kneel. We do that, we kneel. So if you want to say, it's almost like protesting a vote. If you don't not vote to protest a vote, you show up and then don't vote. But put your name on something, even if it's literally nothing. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're trying to send a message, put the message out there.
It's also like the number of interviews, the number of people have talked about it. There's so many resources to show why he kneeled, but people are like, nah, this is why I think he kneeled, and this is why I think it's wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's also hard too, because I think that there's still like the narrative, and you saw Fox News like parroting the same stupid talking points of like the kneeling's about disrespect for the flag, and then it's always tied in as well with like with a lot of Black Lives Matter and a lot of like police shootings where they still have the narrative of like, well, he must have done something wrong to get shot, or he must have done something wrong to get assaulted. And so it's so hard to deconstruct that narrative from like the way America is. And so because so many people think in those terms, they can't understand that it's like, no, the kneeling's about like the fact that like we need to protest police brutality and like bring light to the fact that like we have a lot of ingrained racial biases and a weird racial case system in society that needs to be changed.
If somebody said to me, I hate Happy Birthday, I wouldn't say, fuck you.
The song Happy Birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go, well, why? That's stupid. Who the fuck hates Happy Birthday?
It's a dumb song.
It is.
So is the Star Spangled Banner. There's
sure,
not
yes.
a dumber song. The Beastie Boys sampled everything except the Star Spangled Banner. This is a stupid song. So if that was the reason, good. Right?
Agreed,
But it's
yeah.
not. But if it was, and by the way,
Yeah, if it was, that's a good enough reason.
Yeah.
when you burn your Nike shoes, on your yard.
Yard.
And now there's a well, who's burning these? They live in the country. And then now there's a big hole in their yard. Hey, what happened to your grass? I was burning my shoes. Oh, okay. All right. Army Special Forces veteran Nate Boyer has said that his conversation with Kaepernick influenced the former NFL player to kneel rather than sit during the anthem. Kaepernick began his protest by sitting on the bench during the anthem prior to a August 2016 preseason game. By the way, and thank good, let's stop acting like these preseason football games are any fun.
That's the real lesson here.
Yeah, I know.
But no, my point is something exciting happened. Yay! I don't care if somebody start rolling around on the field. Do something.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny because I don't care about football whatsoever.
Right.
But
I can tell by all the blank looks looking at Keith. So I guess it's not interesting in football time.
And I was like, yay, trophies, Heisman.
Yeah, I was like, you're talking to the two wrong guests.
Yeah.
Brought the wrong people for this conversation. But I remember my boyfriend watching that game. I think it was last September, where it was at least, I think it was over 9 games, and it was like over 100 players, and so it was like that was the thing, and I was like, oh, I watched one of the games, and I knew what was happening, and there was a part of me that was like, I get football, I get it.
That's right. He was not in uniform at the time, August 14, 2016. The protest began garnering coverage when a journalist, Jennifer Lee Chan, captured him sitting, this time in uniform, and a photograph prior to the team's third preseason game on August 26th. 2 days later, Kaepernick spoke to reporters about the protest. It included this exchange. The reporter says, so how many people see the flag as a symbol of the so many people see the flag as a symbol of the military. How do you view it? And what do you say to these people? And he said, I have great respect for the men and women who have fought for this country. Again, tricks. I have family. I have friends that have gone and fought for this country. And they fight for freedom. They fight for the people. They fight for liberty and justice for everyone. That's not happening. People are dying in vain because this country isn't holding their end of the bargain. As far as giving freedom and justice, liberty to everybody, that's something that's not happening. I've seen videos, I've seen circumstances where men and women have been in the military, have come back and been treated unjustly by the country they have fought for, and have been murdered by the country they fought for on our land. That's not right. When asked whether his protest could be construed as a blanket indictment of law enforcement in general, he said, there is police brutality. Police of color have been targeted by police. People of color, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah.
New twist.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it's great for police of color. I'm sure I really spoke out of line. People of color have been targeted by police, so that's a large part of it, and they're government officials. They are put in place by the government, so that's something that this country has to change. There's things we can do to hold them more accountable, make their standards higher. Listen to this. You have people that practice law and are lawyers and go to school for 8 years, but you can become a cop in 6 months and don't have to have the same amount of training as a cosmetologist.
Whoa, I didn't know you could become a cop in 6 months.
That's insane.
That's-
Someone that's holding a curling iron has more education and more training than people that have a gun and are going out on the street to protect us.
Wow.
On August 30th.
What a dumb point. Give me those Nikes.
Yeah.
Well, my grandma was a cosmetologist, so fuck you.
All the cosmetologists like, I knew we were smart.
I know.
Yeah.
August 30th, 2016, the Army Times published an open letter to Kaepernick from former Seattle Seahawks player Nate Boyer, Green Beret in the U.S. military. He was in Afghanistan. He's in Iraq. Now, if you're wondering, what does the military think of this? This is where he got the kneeling idea from.
Also, Keith is military.
Thank you.
Do we listen to you extra?
I would assume. I'm not judging you
Should
for.
I kneel this show?
I know. Yeah.
I'm not judging you for standing up for what you believe in. If it's your right, what you are doing takes a lot of courage, and I'd be lying, he says, if I said I knew what it was like to walk around in your shoes. He's white, for the record. I've never had to deal with prejudice because of the color of my skin, and for me to say I can relate to what you've gone through is as ignorant as someone who's never been in a combat zone telling me they understand what it's like to go to war. Boyer and Kaepernick met after the open letter was published, and before San Francisco's final preseason game on September 2nd in San Diego, the first time the quarterback knelt in front of the bench instead of sitting down, Boyer posted a photograph of himself with Kaepernick that read, "We sort of came to a middle ground where he would take a knee alongside his teammate. Soldiers take a knee in front of fallen brother's grave, to show respect. When we're on patrol, we go into a security halt, we take a knee, we pull security." Kaepernick, after hours of careful consideration and a visit by the retired Green Beret, we came to the conclusion that we should kneel rather than sit the next day during the anthem as a peaceful protest. We chose to kneel because it's a respectful gesture. I remember thinking our posture was like a flag flown at half-mast to mark a tragedy.
I also think when this was happening, a big thing that people were saying was that's not the way to protest. But what was interesting is when you protest in the street, when you have a license and you're like, hey, come Saturday, September such and such, we're going to be walking through these streets. That's not good either because you're blocking traffic. So I don't understand. Protesters supposed to say something, which means they might be, quote, in the way of something. This guy is kneeling and he's still not doing it right. So then you have to ask, what's a good protest for you, sir? Kind sir, please tell me how to go against what's going against me.
Well, I know I said
And
this.
the answer is to not protest.
Yeah,
Right.
I was gonna say the
Like
whole
they-
point.
To just love your country.
No, but it's. I mean, I can't imagine we're not going to agree. But it's.
How dare you?
Look at this little bubble of artists. It's disgusting.
But it's they just keep poking holes into every single type of protest, whether it's marching or kneeling or whatever, because they don't want you to. They're basically saying you're wrong, and they're just trying to put you more and more in a corner.
I bet that's not what Calvin was going to say.
Oh, I was actually going to be like, no. The way we protest is
Yeah.
you write a very long tweet with several hashtags.
Yeah.
No, of course, I said this in the album Awake, but you have people complain. White people, when I say people, you have people complaining about why do black people have to go out and be violent and break a window to make a point? Why can't you protest peacefully? And so we'll do it silently on one knee. Not like that. I'm being tricked.
And what's funny is there is no way that black people have protested that white people haven't done and more. White people protest hockey games by flipping over cars.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's not violent.
Yeah. White people celebrated. Remember when the Eagles won and
Yeah.
that guy ate a piece of shit off the floor? And like that's not even like a protest. I was like, I'm so happy I'm gonna eat shit.
But what did they do? They Criscoed all the lampposts
Right.
because they were like tearing them down and climbing up them and stuff.
Just for the record,
No
you're talking about
arrests.
the city
Yeah.
did that.
The
Yeah,
city-
yeah.
Yeah.
This is
City
not-
cops.
not-
City cops.
Yeah, so the cops got ready for white people to protest.
Not protest, celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Celebrate, but
Right.
destructively celebrate. They were like, well, everybody has a good time. Let's just make sure we do as little damage as possible. And then all these people are like, hey, we're getting gunned in the street. And they're like, you shut up. Be quiet over there.
Yeah.
I happen to see, the Republic.
Switch Mardi Gras. I mean, look at Mardi Gras and how many white people are doing crazy shit
Yeah.
in large masses, peeing all over each other, flashing
peeing.
boobs, fighting like
boobs.
crazy, drinking horribly. And it's like, well, that's how we have fun. Okay, this protest is wrong.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
explain it to me.
Tommy Lauren, I was seeing some video about a woman's march, and she didn't understand pussy hats. And it's like, this isn't how you make a difference. You just go out and vote. As if she doesn't understand how she got to be a woman that can vote now. This idiot. I'm not even saying pick up a book. It's all movies now. Go to the movie. They'll
But
tell
not only
you.
that, for a person with a microphone to say that's not the way you protest because she gets to go on mic whenever she wants in front of millions of people to say, hey, you don't get to out loud state how you feel about this country, but I will anytime I want on YouTube, on networks, on CNN, whenever I want. I can book that shit. I could make it happen and you'll hear me in whatever I want about abortions, about gay rights, about whatever topic I'm into or not into. I get to say it. You don't even get to silently say it.
Yeah.
You don't even get to hint at it. I get to do it. You don't go out into the street. The only avenue you get for people to hear you because you're getting together with a bunch of other people to silently do this, but you get to amplify your voice.
But I think you also have to look at how people see black people in entertainment, which is we will appreciate you if you entertain us, whether you're a singer, whether you're a dancer, whether you play football, but that's it. That's it. You're only allowed to entertain us.
I
But
don't
once
think
you-
people
And even
believe
then,
that.
I don't think that. I mean, I think that it comes to a point where it's like, yeah, you're allowed to entertain us until we can appropriate your shit, and then we could just do it ourselves. I mean, I
Well, I
look
don't
at
think that's completely true. I mean, we'll appropriate it, but we still are consuming it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it was all about appropriation, we would have a lot more M&Ms.
what we do now. There's like Machine Gun Kelly and G-Eazy and Post Malone,
Okay, that's 4.
And they're
You
killing,
calm down.
and that's 4 too many.
Because I was about to say, I was like, this now sounds like we put 3 female comics on TV, and it's equal now. So you calm down.
How about Snow?
Yeah, Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice.
But
yeah.
no, so
Blondie dabbled in it.
but that's how we. She started something. She made it her own. But no, we generally see black people like that's how most people are. Like I like black people. I listen to this singer and da 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 da. We see them as entertainers, but as soon as the entertainers say, "Hey, we want these rights," or "This is part of our community," they're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa."
You know what's fun is
dance.
you interrupting Calvin to tell him about black people.
Yeah.
That's great. Tell us again about. Hey, Calvin, can you tell us a little about feminism?
I would.
He
You want to
actually
interrupt though?
probably could. He actually could. I was also interrupting him about how he was talking about rappers, which I also think is appropriate.
everything's appropriation. I have a friend of mine that I can't help but every time I see him to remember that he was anti-Kaepernick protesting. Very smart friend of mine, and it just hits me every time I see his face. They're just like,
Did he
Kaepernick
change?
doesn't have to. I don't think so. These people they don't like drama of any kind, is what I think it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, can't we just watch football? Or why'd they celebrate excessively?
Can I tell you what I can compare this to for like from the female perspective about females? When I was growing up, I grew up in a very sexist home, very blatantly sexist. No, you can't do that specifically because you're a girl, specifically because you were born with those genitalia, and like your younger brother of 3 years at it. Like, so when he's 12, he can do it, and I'm 15, I still can't. Like very, very blatant. And I'd watch Mad About You. Do you remember Mad About You?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Paul Reiser.
Yes, and what's her face on there? Isn't that great? And as a feminist, what's her face?
Helen Hunt.
Yes, Helen Hunt to me was this quote aggressive woman, and I watched their relationship, and they were very much even, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind because I wasn't comfortable watching it. I was like, whoa, she just said that, and he didn't act in anger. He and it would be regular shit. Like maybe right now people would be like, wow, Hamda, where were you raised? And it is exactly what you pictured. I was raised in that, where I thought she's fighting him on it, where she could just be avoiding a fight. I was taught to be like, you know what, I'll just make dinner. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no big deal. She's fighting him on weird shit like that. Something was attracting me to that because I'm like, wow, that can happen, and it's not a fight, and it's not like this under aggression that keeps growing in him. He just knows that this is normal shit. But what I didn't do was go, why is she opening her big fucking mouth? What I did was I sat there uncomfortable, understanding that like there's something uncomfortable about this, but somewhere I have to figure out what's wrong and right before I open my mouth about it, because I'm a woman. I should stop opening my mouth. But, you know, I understand being uncomfortable about your own kind, you know, because I also shoot it away. I was like, you know what? Well, she's white. And I'm not kidding. I thought that. And I was like, but I'm white too. And I didn't understand what makes me different white. And I'm like, well, she's American. You know, she didn't have these like traditional old school parents. So I'm like, oh, everyone who's blonde gets to be that way. No joke. I thought things like that, like, oh, anyone who has like non-ethnic features can stand up for themselves because they don't have this other thing looming on them. It whacked my brain, but it also like, I didn't come out fighting. I didn't go like, you know, Mad About You should be taken off air and this is making me uncomfortable. I understood that my discomfort was coming from somewhere that I maybe needed to sit down and think about.
You didn't have to burn your Palmolive. You can just watch
I
it.
didn't dye my hair blonde. Like I didn't have any of these responses. I didn't try to be suddenly, you know, this version of white or whatever. I realized like I'm off white. I realized what ethnicity meant. I realized, you know, because around other Jews I didn't feel comfortable. And I'm like, well, now I'm around other Jews. I was told that like these are my people. Why do I feel weird? And it's like, oh, Ashkenazi Jews is a thing, Sephardic Jews is a thing. So understanding your differences, you're like, oh, I came from this. I got to know about that to like really express myself, you know? Take a fucking second.
Well, that's what upset me about my friend, where it is take a second. When you say, well, what's this millionaire's problem with black people getting hurt? What's this millionaire's problem that lives in a gated community? And why doesn't that take you a bigger pause? Because what can he personally gain? That years from now, after all the owners get together to blacklist them so that nobody's hired, to the point where now there's going to be a court case over it. And I believe it.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He absolutely
Oh my God.
was. He didn't know. Did he know this is going to happen? The next thing you know, he'd get $1 million deal with Nike. No, there was nothing good
He took the biggest risk.
that could come out of it personally. He will only lose his job, which he did. He will only lose his endorsements, which before Nike he absolutely did. He will only lose his windows through bricks being thrown through them.
Half of his audience, maybe. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
He's going to lose his weight.
So take a time and think, why did he do it? For pussy? He was getting it. Why did he do it?
Well, it's interesting about what you said about watching like Mad About You. I mean, first of all, I related with comedy because I was speak when spoken to. You know, like I was like me being any kind of outspoken was just influenced by other people doing it. But more so, all the kids.
That's all right. That's Andrea having a party in the back.
This woman should not speak up.
But you've seen all these kids, like kids kneeling for the Pledge Allegiance. You see, like it's actually been really fascinating the number of kids that you hear have been participating in it and trying to understand it, getting reprimanded by teachers that are like, you don't understand what it means. And they're like, well, actually, it's about the oppressed. You know what I mean? And they just start like, da-da-da-da-da-da. But I think, I've been talking with my friends about this more and more. Like, I don't want to get into the debate about Nanette and Hannah Gatsby and all that stuff.
Oh gosh. Oh boy.
But at the end of the day, what she has done, whether you like it or not, is opened up the door for somebody to do it better. That's what I would say about Nanette. So even looking at Kaepernick, he's opened
Also,
up.
why do we act like Nanette is mandatory? Fucking pass over it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. You don't like the show I like. Goodbye. Who cares?
Exactly.
But-
I feel
I
with
did
Nanette.
not want to open up the Nanette.
Sorry.
But
That's not the way to do it.
all I was saying is that whether you agree with Kaepernick or not, he's opening up the door. And maybe this is why people don't like it. He's opening up the door for other people to see what's going on and to make change in any kind of way, whether it's kneeling, whether it's starting charities, whether it's different types of protests. What he's doing is starting a dialogue that was being started because Black Lives Matter was a movement, but he was able to do it every time he played a football game.
Calvin, you want to join that dialogue or should we just skip over
No,
you?
don't let him talk.
Are you a?
I'll just nod very, very solemnly.
Do you think
he crying?
do you think a person can be against this kneeling on the field and not be racist? I don't.
I mean, I honestly don't because again, it's so clear, and I mean, there's so many articles, there's so many like pieces that have come out that have made it very, very clear. This is what it's about. It's in the same way as like I think back to like, you know, the 60s and 70s with like sit-ins or when people would like, you know, do bus boycotts and stuff like that. And people, I think that the problem with protesting is that like people don't like feeling inconvenienced and they don't understand that the whole point of the protest is that we're being inconvenienced. And so that's why we're showing you these are the ways we feel inconvenienced. And yeah, I'm sorry that maybe your commute's going to be a little bit longer because the highway's blocked, but you also have to understand that so many of us die and like won't get the chance to work because like we get shot. Like sorry, I kind of went way off.
I
just
did not
but, like,
apologize.
I do
But
the first
it's-
way you said it was inconvenience, and I was like, that's a nice way to talk about murder.
Yeah.
By the way, when a
It's just inappropriate and uncouth the way that we're just shot.
when the,
Just not ladylike.
when the NFL can have a murderer and a rapist
Oh, yeah.
playing
Yeah.
football, and you
That's
didn't
right.
burn your NFL shirt,
Mm-hmm.
but you burned your Nikes
Oh, my
because somebody
God.
took a knee to say, "Let me tell you what's happening in my community that you somehow don't see." It's of note.
I'm sorry.
It's just I find it so frustrating to me that people don't understand and they don't like so many people just don't want to be inconvenienced. So many people, and as much as like we
And he's not
try to be-
inconveniencing. He doesn't go, Can I kneel in your
Yeah,
house?
exactly.
Why is your dick out taking a piss during the Star-Spangled Banner, you pieces of shit? I can't put my hand on my heart because I got too many corn dogs right now. Go fuck yourselves. I see you during that song. You're on television. I see what you're doing. You're talking to your friend. You're smirking about something. Don't act like you give a fuck, as if the way you understood the movement was even correct.
Exactly.
You better be sitting there or standing at home at attention during those 3 to 5 minutes.
And you better have at least 2 black friends, buddy.
He's a millionaire. Well, don't think that through, right?
I mean, also, like, having money doesn't shield you from anything. I mean, there was that whole story years ago about Henry Louis Gates where, very famous, he does that show, like, with where he goes through people's ancestries and they find out, like, oh, wow, my great-great-grandfather was a slave owner, or, like, I was related to slaves, stuff like that. There was one time where he was coming home late at night trying to get in his own house, and he got the cops called on him. And, obviously the cops being the cops, like, don't try to de-escalate the situation. And this is, again, someone who is famous, who's on television, who has money. And I think that a lot of times when people complain, like, oh, if you're a millionaire, why is it a problem? It's like, no, because I could still be dead and I could just be just another face. And then somehow they find out that, like, oh, I did cocaine 20 years ago, and that's going to be splashed all over the news.
That's the weirdest. That's one of the weirdest things is, oh, look, somebody was recently shot. A black guy was shot, and then they found weed in his home.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
did you just bring up weed in your home? Please, everybody retweet that and go, I have weed in my home, too. And look how not scared I am to say it into a microphone. You're going to kill me and then tell me I smoked weed, you motherfucker. You don't know what anything is. Where do I start? You don't know what weed is. You don't know what color is. You don't know, like, go back to kindergarten. I don't understand how to... That's crazy.
This white female cop goes into a house that's not hers. Later, she says it was hers. She thought it was her house, right? Not drunk, not high, just somehow thought it was her house.
Oopsie doodle.
The
But
door was
they
kind
even
of
said
open.
that she was knocking. Like, there's more and more. Like, her story keeps changing. That's what's creepy.
I've heard at
about
least
it.
like 5 different versions of this story.
Wait. You mean the story about somebody just killing a black person
In
just
their own home?
changes?
Yeah.
Let me guess, to their benefit? Oh, that's... Wow.
No, but like more
Sure?
stuff is coming out that like she was knocking, like you know what I mean. So it's like unless she lived with somebody, why are you knocking? Like there's all this stuff that's like kind of coming out that just keep poking more and more holes into the fact.
Of course, there's because none of it makes sense. You have Amber Geiger, the officer, 30 years old. She comes into the neighbor's house, 26 years old, Botham Jean. And she says, oh, I walked into the wrong house. I just thought somebody was there that shouldn't have been there. Shoots him. There's your training, by the way, that we were talking about.
And you're not taking in anything like it's not. I'm sure they don't decorate the same. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you're like if you're really that good of a police officer, you're not taking in. I'm an observant comic, and I can take in like a highlights thing where this lamp is moved differently.
Right.
She didn't notice everything was different, not just that there was a black person. Like, how bad are you at your job? That's insane.
And then, you start seeing news organizations tweeting out, marijuana found in Botham Jean's apartment after deadly shooting.
How dare you say something like marijuana found? How
fuck
dare
yourself.
you?
Yeah.
What do you even mean by that?
Well, you're the cops, and you're trying to trick out the story, and you're hoping the news picks it up, and an idiot or two news organizations do, and the cops, of course, are hoping that a moron at home is like, look, I don't know the whole story, but what I understand is a cop was trying to get somebody for having too much marijuana, and there was a shootout. You know what I mean? That, of course, you don't have the whole story, but you go with it so that your life is easier.
There is not one white person that I ever fucking passed a joint to that was like, nah.
True. I
Not one.
literally, every single drug I've ever taken, I've been introduced to by a white person. Like, I've
You're
never.
welcome. Jesus. Shit.
You're the best dealer ever. I love you. Make sure my special K is on point.
Our buddy B. Jason wrote about, pictures of Sergeant talking to the cop. You did what? Oh, I shot him. In his own place? I thought it was my place. Can't you get me out of this? We could get a warrant, search the place, and let's hope he's a criminal.
Yeah.
Wait,
Right?
is that a text message? Is that real?
It's a little tweet. Oh, well, no, it's a made up. It's
I was like, for a second, I was like, Jesus.
But how isn't it real? I
yeah,
mean,
that's scary.
I'm sure. I mean,
what's so crazy?
Well, you think of all the cops that have gotten off from killing black
No,
people.
tell me what's not real about that.
Yeah.
What is not real? That somebody didn't actually type it up and we got a hold of it? Somebody fucking said that. Somebody
right.
did that.
Let's
somebody
search his house.
Somebody followed through. Why are you even searching his house for something other than why did she shoot you?
Yeah.
Because of weed? Fuck you. Take a picture of your house if you don't have weed somewhere in your house right now.
Yeah.
Okay? If I can come into your house as any color person and not find a trace of weed, and Keith, I visited your house, boom, I planted you with shit. You know what I mean? Like there's somebody's roach at the end of their fucking blunt or whatever is in your fucking stupid house because it's goddamn weed. And you know what else is there? NyQuil too, you fucks. Yeah. What are you going to do about that? Oh, well, you can't drive on NyQuil. Well, arrest that fuck.
Exactly. I mean,
Well,
I
what
lost
about the people who drive on weed? Well, that's a different fucking crime,
He
dipshit.
was in his home.
Anyway,
He's
sorry,
in his
Calvin,
home.
you were saying? I get aggressive about weed shit.
No, it's fair. I mean, everyone has drugs in their home. I mean, I lost a Percocet behind my fucking oven, and I'm sure if I get killed someday, they're gonna be like, "Oh no, this guy was not working on his wisdom teeth." Like that's what's gonna happen. We all have drugs in our place.
If somebody takes one of your Percocets, that's a fucking federal crime. That you can really get fucked on that.
Oh well, we're gonna pretend I did not give that away to other people. But
We have
Yeah.
this thing, that thing that you signed before the show. It's everything that black people say on the show is alleged. Like it's all
Okay.
because we know that you could just be criminalized in 5 seconds. Like I get to say this shit because I'm like, I mean, I really shouldn't say this much because my name is and that's like that's not really doing well in our country either. But
A Republican official in Pennsylvania put out several racist Facebook posts in response to NFL players kneeling. Carla Maloney. What would you say she looks like? I guess the nosy neighbor in any white sitcom. We put the picture at keithandthegirl.com, of course.
I'm
Oh
so
my
sorry to
God.
say, but all these women look like that same woman who called the cops on the kid or whatever
Yeah.
for having a water stand or something
Oh my
stupid.
God.
The Secretary of Republican Committee of Beaver County.
These are the women who will read that section about fucking black guys. Like, oh, I
Oh,
wonder what that's like. Yeah.
Referred to black NFL players as baboons.
Oh, great.
Tired of these overpaid, ignorant blacks telling me what I should believe in. I will tell you what I believe in, and that is our flag, the national anthem, and America. End of story, period.
Okay. Of course, end of story, period, because you don't know what that means. Because if I asked you what America means and what the flag means, you wouldn't be able to tell me anything
It
about
means
that.
freedom. Fuck off. You don't like it here. Go to Africa. See how you like it there.
Oh, Africa.
Well, nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always love when it's like just Africa, just go. You know, maybe Egypt. I don't know,
Yeah.
Mozambique. Just check it out. Like what the fuck?
Just go to the whole continent.
We are all Americans, not African American, not Hispanic American. We are all American.
Where does she think she's from?
In another post referring, not Africa, I'll tell you that. In another post referring to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who chose not to appear on the field during the playing of the national anthem last September, she wrote, "Just as bad as the rest of those overpaid baboons." And she's from Pennsylvania.
Why are you even watching this?
I don't want
Like,
to.
who do you think is paying them? You for watching it.
You respect your flag, country, and our national anthem. How many men and women lost limbs or died to protect this country, and you baboons want respect? If you want respect, you need to earn it, and so far you haven't. Stop watching or going to a game and paying for overpriced food, water, and tickets. Let's see how these baboons get paid when white people stop paying for salaries.
Oh, do it. Please do it.
Yeah.
There's a part
Do
of me,
it.
There's a part of me that's just like, first of all, I don't think she gets football. Like you just want to start there. You just want to be like, oh, sweetie, no. Her husband's like, hey, that's like the only time I have free time and to hang out with my friends. What are you doing?
Well, she was forced.
How
to,
do I talk to any other male?
Yeah.
She was forced to resign. I would assume change her
From
face
what?
and name and move to another town.
What workplace is now like, you know what we didn't know about Betsy? What's her name again?
Betsy.
I was actually gonna say the same thing. I was gonna call her like Martha Joe.
Maybe she was on an Ambien. Maloney apologized. for her distasteful, inappropriate, and insensitive social media posts,
It
saying
doesn't even come close to what she just said.
The-
You're gonna call
right.
that insensitive? They're just like, it was just not. She just used some colorful language that we told her is not okay in the workplace. That's all that's happened.
We just compared them to some old world apes. It's totally fine.
I
And we
realized.
told her
Right.
it's a different. You have to do the research. It's a different type of monkey. She's so ignorant.
Seriously, it's not like she's a chimpanzee. I mean, come on.
I'm sorry.
Baboon, she tried. She went on Wikipedia.
She shouldn't have said she used colored language, right? Those that know me, this is that apology, right? Those that know me know that I come from a diverse family that represents modern America.
Who's saying this?
Nobody- no.
Who's saying this? Betsy?
The baboon.
Every white person who gets caught being racist.
I know my posts and comments were disrespectful to not only the people that I love, but families across the country.
Tell me why. If you
Right.
can tell me why, you get 1 pass. And by the way, 3 and you're dead. We get to kill you.
But it's like it's not a mistake. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, she
That's why I
she
want
didn't,
her to
like,
tell
put-
me why. Because if it is a mistake, then you can tell me why.
It's the fucking Roseanne thing. Like, it's all over again. It's just like you didn't make a mistake. You knew what you were doing.
Right, multiple times you're writing racist things online. I'm talking about Roseanne, of course, and then finally you write about a black woman being a cross between the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. And to this day, Roseanne still can't explain what would that tweet mean if you really thought that woman was white, which you claim. What does it mean? Comedian, person who made a living with words. Between her and Louis C.K.'s non-apology, these people don't know words all of a sudden.
You're right. These are writers,
And
they're
they're-
not just They're not just
Career
stand-up
writers.
Yeah.
Like 30 years in the game, you pick every word
Perfect.
perfectly, and you hone it, and you think about it, and you make sure that it resonates, because as soon as it leaves your mouth, you're no longer in control of it anymore. People can misinterpret it, and you've made a full career of making sure that your words get interpreted mostly the way you want them to.
In fact, am I
And
getting
all of
this
a sudden-
wrong? Wasn't Roseanne one of the judges on one of those stand-up?
Yeah, she was
Shows?
on
Yeah, like
Last Comic Standing.
Yeah, Last
Yeah.
Comic Standing.
That says something too. Like you're
judging other people's words.
You're so on top of your game
Right.
that you're judging us and deciding which one of us is number one in all the country. So
Yeah.
you're saying things like you should have put that word before this thing, and you should know that before you come on this show.
Now, who doesn't like John Goodman? But when John Goodman says he can say one thing for a fact is that Roseanne is not a racist, does this mean he is a racist? Because how could you even say there's no... If my friend Adam, my best friend in the world, put out the tweets Roseanne did, I'd be like, I don't think I can say there's no doubt.
Not only
You know
that,
what I mean?
in this country, we can't say with no doubt that we're not sexist, anti-feminist, homophobic. We have been
I'm all of those.
Yeah, we have been even people who are in those categories. Like I said, I'm confused by certain female, I can't, it's hard to wrap your mind around it because we were programmed so differently. We have to undo so much of the programming.
Yeah.
Why don't we understand that we have to undo this as well? Everything that your parents stood for, you fight with them on Thanksgiving, and you don't think that none of that seeped in. The fact that you keep marrying, we keep saying, well, I'm marrying my father, I'm marrying my mother. You don't think that any of that, you're so immune to negativity. You're not. You are a little racist. You are a little homophobic. You do kind of feel funny when you see two guys kissing. You just do. If you've been in this country for long enough, you feel uncomfortable, and you have to go, oh, I got to stop feeling uncomfortable with people embracing who I'm guessing have similar genitalia.
You have an awareness, though. These people have no awareness. You have to understand that you have an awareness, and then you work on it. Like I was talking to a friend, so I have a friend that transitioned. I knew her as a guy, and now she's a full woman, and was there for every step of the way. And I was at a place where that because we were close, I was able to ask questions that I would not have felt comfortable if it was people that I didn't know.
And even though with the way you just described it, some of the language is problematic only because I married a transgender person. I know even more, so I will sound less ignorant.
Yeah.
But
And
I
that's-
can't, you know.
and I'm open to understanding that. And that's taken a long time with everything, whether it's me being ignorant as a person that's feminist that says ignorant shit all the time, even just for the feminist movement, to anything from, gay rights to transgender to black people to Asian people, whatever. You're going to make mistakes. It's about being open to knowing that you're making mistakes and having somebody correct you and not being defensive about it. There's an awareness. We live in a bubble in New York City. Most people don't have this awareness.
Can I brag though? I don't work on it. And I get everything that's being said in this room. How do I do it? I don't think you have to quit your second job to figure it out. Just shut up for a fucking second and think, why is he taking a knee? Why does somebody hate the song Happy Birthday? Just take
it's
1
also
second. Yeah, I'm not telling you to go to the library and open 5 books at the same time.
Well, I think that what people forget is that there's just so much, to go back to what you were saying, Liz, there's so much privilege. And I feel like, there's like white privilege, there's male privilege. And I feel like a lot of times, like when you just have that privilege, you just simply aren't able to see it in another way. So like with John Goodman, I don't think that he's necessarily racist, but I think that being a white male and being raised in this society where like being a white male affords you all these sort of comforts. And one of those comforts is I don't have to worry about that because worry about like racism or sexism or homophobia because that's not me. And I literally don't have to take that fight on.
But to give him some credit, this is how I felt when I
I'll
first
give him credit. Maybe I've heard him in many interviews. He is kind of dumb. One of the greatest actors. I think he's in fantastic stuff, but he's a little stupid. That I can go that way.
To me, he was on a set with somebody who broke ground for years. So I could understand him defending, like, how could you see this person who really changed TV, changed a lot of stuff, changed homophobia, it made things better for America and for minorities and for, like, there was a lot of stuff that she really did. So it's very hard to be against that when you watched her for years fighting for your average American person.
Then why didn't his
she
tweets
really did that.
Then why didn't his tweets shock him more? Even more? Like, whoa,
I get it.
something must be going
that's
on.
That's just
And he
one
also
piece.
should've-
What's a dumb piece?
It's one piece. It's one piece. It's why you could be shocked. It's why you can defend a friend like that. It's going, hey, how could you think that way when she had? Because to him, this is one thing that she's getting wrong when she got so much so right. It's very difficult to cross that line.
But
Exactly.
That's the
And I
Louis
think
CK
that
debate.
yeah,
I would
like
think.
for example, like I think about this was years and years ago. So for my college, Bill Cosby came and he did like a whole talk and like gave a whole bunch of money to financial aid specifically for minorities. And this is like before like obviously all the like allegations came out and stuff. And I remember going and being like, this is so amazing, and I'm so happy that like he's doing this thing for financial aid for my college, which is like very white, as a lot of liberal arts colleges are. And I remember when the allegations first started coming out, it was hard for me to process that, to be like, this guy who did so much and is helping so many of like my fellow peers and like helping people get an education, and I can't believe this is a horrible monster. And I mean, obviously, like now I've changed my tune. I understand
yeah,
that,
there's
but
a
it's hard for you to
moment, yeah.
process. And when you see someone, especially when you see and get to meet someone, you're like, you're doing so much good. How can you be such a terrible person? It's just hard to
When
like,
you see that they changed your life.
Yeah.
They actually change your life, and they do it actively.
yeah.
And they change broad strokes of lives, and then they do that. It's hard.
But also, we've learned that people can be woke and considerate and groundbreaking in one
The
area.
only person who didn't use the word woke in this fucking room is the black guy. Just so you guys know.
It's mostly because I have like a very limited vocabulary and I'm really tired.
You can say awake. That is your word. And also like that, I feel like that's like saying tranny, just you can't say woke.
Why can't I say
I
woke?
disagree. So, but this
Well-
isn't that funny? Hold on. Now look what just happened. This is what we're fighting about. now.
Right. That's
Well-
true. That's true. But
Is that, I mean, I never saw, I've seen it more of pretty much defining what it means to go from being ignorant to at least understanding it. So the idea of somebody saying, okay, I understand that white privilege is the thing, and this is how it might help me. So it's that transition between acknowledging it, that it's even a thing in general, and then also starting to work towards it. And that's how I've always kind of seen it defined. To be perfectly honest, I'm not exaggerating. I don't have a big vocabulary. Half the words I try to reach, especially being dyslexic, they're not there. I like it because it's simple.
Calvin?
Truthfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Truthfully.
Not Liz, Calvin.
Could white people say the word woke?
Okay, so I'm of two minds about it. Where on the one hand, I mean, I do like the fact that woke is like it's a very like all-encompassing term. It encapsulates like this is the point, and it's also a very good metaphor. To be honest, I mean, shit, it works. You know, you're asleep on these issues, and now you're aware. But at the same time, what I don't like is when words like that get appropriated and then kind of like dumbed and watered down. So I feel like with woke, like, I mean, the way that you're using it is proper.
I felt like I wasn't snapping my fingers. And
I mean, you shouldn't do like a Z formation, like woke sis, yes, like that's bad. Don't do that. But like, I feel like a lot of times like people will take like words from like the smaller hegemony and then kind of like water it down. So like it's fine to say woke in terms of like political issues, but then people say things like, "Oh, I got woke about this breakfast cereal," and then that's when it's like offensive and shitty and stupid.
Okay, so here's what it is. You know, you use it right, it's fine. It's like heckling a comedy show. If you know what you're doing, do it. But if you don't,
But most likely you don't.
Yeah.
Most likely shut the fuck up.
Leonidas, my bitch, on Twitter writes, "Why do white people talk as if the civil rights movement wasn't only 50 years ago? Quote, you still use the suffering of your ancestors as an excuse of what's wrong with your community. Ancestors? Bitch, you mean my grandma?" I thought that was a great point. I saw this very racist cartoon. It was in an Australian newspaper. Mark Knight is the name of the artist, and it was about Serena Williams complaining during a match that the umpire or the officiant isn't being fair. The person she was playing against, happened to be an Asian. Okay, I'll tell you why I bring this up. In this cartoon,
Well, she's half Asian, half black.
half Asian, half black. In this cartoon, it shows Serena Williams having a tantrum, jumping on her tennis racket. Tell me, Calvin, I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing.
I mean, it's horrible and horrifying, and I mean, it's astonishing that he was really trying to pass it off like, oh, this isn't racist, even though it's like a clear mammy stereotype with the big lips and the like very like Afro kinky hair, and I mean the fact that she like looks all roided up. And
yeah,
on top of
not
that,
even that, she looks overweight. Like
Yeah.
they didn't make her an athlete; they made her like Aunt Jemima.
yeah.
Okay, and
And Naoko, which it's offensive because first of all, she's half Asian and half black, and the fact that she's just a straight up blonde, tiny white woman
in this cartoon.
yeah, is horrifying. I mean, he got literally everything wrong, and of course, it's always the same narrative of like, oh, this like mean black woman is like picking on this like tiny little white girl. It's reinforcing all those like terrible stereotypes.
And then they get some attacked for it, of course. And what was the paper do? The Herald Sun. They doubled down. They put it on their front page the next day.
What? Jesus, I didn't know that.
Yeah. What is happening?
What did they say? What was their response other than just putting it on the front page? Like, look at this great art.
It's all. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. We had a plan to show it 2 days in a row. You know our buddy Josh from Mushface Comics. He says it's not a very good cartoon unless Mark is trying to tell the world he's horribly racist. If so, then the drawing works perfectly. All right. There's a new Law and Order show coming out called Hate Crimes.
Oh God!
Ooh, I just don't think that's gonna end well.
That didn't even start well.
I know.
Jesus, you ran out of material. What?
I know. As long as iced tea isn't on it, that's gonna be real weird.
I think it's going to be great. I think they'll be able to, they're not going to run out of material, right? You can have 23 episodes a season, and 23 seasons, right?
Now that's just gonna have woke in every single episode.
I'm actually writing for it, so I just wanted to break it on here.
They heard that you talk to black people like directly.
I know like 3, so I've lived here a really long time.
Mike from Melbourne, Florida. The cartoon was in the Australian Murdoch-owned paper, the print version of Fox News. Well, I'm shocked over here. Liz Mealy, you want to follow on Instagram and Twitter at Liz Mealy, M-I-E-L-E. The website is the same, lizmealy.com, L-I-Z. September 26th at 8 p.m., New York Comedy Club. Big show for our Liz.
Yeah.
Come on out, support.
It's the new venue, the 4th Street. They have 2 venues now.
Well, tell me about the right one.
The 4th Street one.
4th Street 1. All right. Follow Liz Mealy. Follow the website. You'll get it. Calvin Cato.
Yes.
The Twitter account is Cato Calvin. The Instagram is Calvin Cato.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
He learned everything at hownotobrand.com. But if you want to go to his personal website, go to calvincato.com. All right, everybody?
Of course, if you're following us, we do Follow Friday so you could know who was on the show for the entire week. And we post pictures of them in the studio. So we definitely link back. So if all you know is Keys and the girl, you could still find these people really easily.
We'll be holding hands. Just me and Calvin.
All right, everybody.
Perfect harmony. Sharing a Pepsi.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. All right? Stay woke.